Hello, YouTube. Yeah, I could prefer the beer, but anyways, this is going to be a video on what I was talking about earlier with No November. That is, like I said, mocking cancer patients, and I'm going to go into that and a number of other things. But first of all, I just want to say I don't really know what to make of a society, and especially um, the supposed right wing that is supposed to be pro male, because if you're anti feminist, that means you like men. Actually, no, it doesn't. It just means these people hate women. It has nothing to do with them liking you or liking men. Is Paul Joseph Watson and Alex Jones went on to explain, is they mocked you for jerking off, like I'm sure they don't. And essentially, really, the entire point of what they're doing is making fun of No Shave November, like I talked about, that I'm going to go into detail about. But again, the entire point of that is not shaving to raise awareness for prostate cancer in men, prostate cancer and testicular cancer in males. And it's essentially people not shaving to bring awareness to that. Not much different from females wearing pink in October to fight breast cancer. And oddly enough, males also get breast cancer, so there's a bit of a odd dichotomy there. But that's not the point. The point is, this was for males. This was a cancer, anti-cancer, and here are these right-wing Nazi, pretty much Nazi. That's what they are, motherfucking assholes that are these people that attack all kinds of people online, attack the LGBTQ movement, said that feminists hated men. They are against women's right to choose abortion. These are the right wing. These are the enemy. There is much against me as they are they're much against feminists and people like that as they are me or anyone else. So when they say they're anti-feminist, they're not saying they're pro-male. They're saying they are anti-woman. So if you have any issues with feminism, you really need to check that at the back door here, because that's not really the point. And that's what these people are about. So just so that you understand that, it's not pro-male, it's anti-feminist. And they essentially are what I said before. It's a cult of productivity. But furthermore, I'm going to go into detail talking about that. But I guess the only thing left to do really is support No Shave November. It's something I never really supported before and forgot even existed, really, for the most part. And same thing for No Nut November, because I had heard of this before. But you can look this up online and you can do the research. And it was started as a parody of No Shave November to bring awareness to cancer patients. So they're essentially mocking cancer patients. That was the entire point of this. That's what they were doing. That was the reason. So you can look that up, research that, do research, look that up online. That happened. But beyond that, there's really nowhere to go with this except push further for No Shave November, or I guess they call it Movember. Again, I don't understand why you call that Movember, but the point is, push for and talk more about No Shave November and get more people to do that. That's how you combat these assholes that are, for whatever reason, essentially deciding it's okay now to mock males who have various forms of cancer and can die. And God forbid they ever end up on the opposite end or of that issue. But nevertheless, that is what this is about. But beyond that, this is also about positivity and finding positivity. And it's about that, and it's about any number of ways of it's about finding positivity for people, liberals in general, and just or man, I gotta get my dog. Yeah, shit. God damn it all. Finding positivity if you are in the left or if you are a liberal, or really just a male or somebody that is pro-male or a man in the left, the legitimate left wing, or just a liberal in general. Where do you go to find positive? And that's really what this is. There's nothing really positive that I can see about the Republicans or the Democrats or the government right now. And I think what I'm doing is I'm almost giving it a certain timeline. They're on a timeline. It's almost like giving it till a certain point. Maybe it's when I'm 30. I don't know. But at some point, I'm done with the Republican and the Democratic Party because this is this bullshit. And it's like a game of whack-a-mole. And I'm going to go into detail about that in a minute. And I talked about this before. But you can't find positivity because these are just very negative fucking people. And whether you're talking about, let's say you can't find positivity, and it's damn. And when you see the world for what it is, and you really understand this stuff, it adds an entirely new, almost different layers to it. When you see the world with kind of the naked eyes or the nude eyes that I do, when I see everything for the dark, fucked up shit that it is, these things really take on new meaning to you when you do more research. But also, it goes back to scum finds scum. So how do you know if you're positive? What do positive people do? But first of all, let me say scum finds scum. So these Republicans and these conservatives and these feminists and these far left feminists and all these people, they find each other. Antifa and all the right-wing groups, they find each other. And then they fight you and they fuck up everything and they goddamn get their shit going, stir the shit. That's what they do. They need to lick the spoon. But the reason they fucking do that is because scumbags find each other. And you have them on the right and the left. And I can go into a lot of detail about that. And I can start off just by naming people in groups right now. Alex Jones. Alex Jones is one of those fucking people. And I think that, I've talked about this before. And it's like, now here he is mocking cancer patients. And I've talked about the guy bashing trans children, bashing gay people, some of the shit that he does. And I've talked about the right ring, but just the right ring and Alex Jones right now. I've talked about that before. And I've talked about genital mutilation of children or circumcision. I've talked about how that is done to decrease sensitivity to prevent things like masturbation. You can look up John Harvey Kellogg. Back in the 1800s, that shit's all on record. They also cut off girls' clitorises for years. They did that too in some cases, or even rubbed acid on the girl's clitoris. They did that. And now here they are telling you not to masturbate. So, but the guy, they talk shit about men, and you have a lot of these people saying things about people, and they're trashing the drag kids, and they're trashing people. And if you don't agree with them, by the way, you're always a Nazi, or you're a communist, or you're something else. And they're saying everyone's a Nazi, and if you don't love America, leave America, because that's a real free country. And they're bashing the gays, and they're talking about gay frogs and suicidal shrimp and everything else they talk about. And then these same idiots turn around now, and you didn't listen to me, you don't want to listen to me, and now they're mocking, if you're a male rights activist, I even went off on them, I really need to talk about that. But they mocked, damn. Fuck me. But they're mocking cancer patients. So, because that's the kind of person you're getting in bed with, and that's the kind of negativity you are drawing into your life. And I saw that coming years ago. But there are people on the right and left that are positive. And it's like, how do you know you're positive? Well, it's like, are you a decent, normal human being? Do you treat other people as individuals? Do you treat them the way you want to be treated? And do you hate men? Do you hate women? Are you hateful towards other people that aren't like you? No, then you're a decent enough person. You're a decent person. And you know what? I'm a decent enough person that I don't want to be associated with this shit and have this in my life anymore. And that's one reason I refuse to join the fucking right ring. That's one fucking reason. I also still won't join these Antifa shitheads on the left ring. Because there's more than that to the world. You don't have to be one or the other. But we are sick and tired. A lot of us are these scumbags, one after the other, like fucking Alex Jones, like fucking Anita Sarkeesian over in the left, like these fucking people that just keep coming. They keep piling on the shit, and they won't go away. And it's like no one can ever catch a break. No one can ever get any headway going in the left. Because why? Because they keep stacking these fuckers up. They keep bringing them down. We keep mowing them down. They keep bringing them supposedly so far as out thinking them, out doing them. And you got people like this. You want to talk about scumbag people like this, fucking Jordan Peterson, who was someone that, again, I told you about the negativity. I told you about him promoting circumcision, promoting genital mutilation of male children. I told you about that. And he was going into how, you should do it because it is a bad thing. He's not even saying it had health benefits, and he was doing that. And I told you about that. And then it turns out he's a fucking pillhead. And at the same damn time, he was telling everyone else to be responsible. The guy was taking pills probably for years, and they had to put him in fucking rehab, and he was whoring and shelling for an all meat diet. And from that, I want to go into this. It's not even the news media. It's not just the fake media that you hear all these Republicans and people talk about. It's more than just that. It's once you understand behind the scenes and the way that these vulture capitalists and these snakes work at Fox News and on the other news industries and these other news networks, and you understand what they're really about. And I can give you a perfect example of that is Bill Maher. More recently, I talked about this, and I think it was Jimmy Dore and him talking about Bill Maher, and he was essentially insulting and attacking Democrats and liberals. Attacking liberals. And why, you ask? Well, I mean, a lot of that goes back to and has to do with Emmett's Hot. But that has to do with, it's almost like where you're going to go. You're going to go to Trump. You're going to go to the Republicans. So it's essentially saying there's nowhere else to go. And he's also saying to these Democrats, you want this for people that you want this for individuals. You want this for gay rights. You want this for people in prison. You want this for transgender people. You're this, you're that. Well, where are you going to go? You can't. You have to vote for us. And he's essentially doing the same thing Alex Jones is doing to his right. He's forcing it on them now. He's like, we got you where we want you now. And it's almost like you're going to listen to us and you're going to do what we want, or we're going to take more of your rights. You want your freedom. You want your rights. You like the Constitution. You want to be fucking secure. You want human rights. You care about one another. All this shit. You don't want racial politics. You don't want gender politics. Well, we'll take more of your rights, or we're going to take them anyway, but we're this expedited. There's nowhere else you can go. If you're a Democrat, you have to vote Democrat. That's essentially what he was saying. And let's just be honest. And I've said some good things about Bill Maher before, but that is just a rich person talking down to poor people that won't fucking change in the world. And he's saying, no, we don't want to bring that change. Where are you going to go? The Republicans? That's essentially what that was. And you have Alex Jones doing the same thing to the Republicans now. But once you understand the media behind the media and what's really going on in the world, it's an entire different deal altogether. But again, it comes down to this: do you want to associate with people that are mocking cancer patients? Don't want to protect and defend genital mutilation of males or females? People that are attacking gays, that want to tell parents of children whether or not their child can wear girls' clothing. And not sexually, but this wear girl clothing. They want to tell parents of children what their kid can dress like, and whether or not what you do, and they did the same thing years ago. And I remember The View putting forth this bullshit notion that you have to have strict gender roles, because they were even going so far as to say if a boy plays with a Barbie doll, he might be gay. Well, hey, I'm all for gay people, but I'd take what might even be considered a little bit more of a right-wing approach to that. Because I don't think just because you play with a fucking Barbie doll as a kid, you're gay. Lots of kids do lots of different things. But they're trying to say, no, it's either this or that, and it's not that fucking simple. But this was on that years ago. And these same people now that want to tell you what your child is and how to tell you whether or not your child can wear this clothing or what's right or what's appropriate for your kids, those are the same people that fucking like Alex Jones. He takes his kids target practicing and gives them a machine gun, and they're shooting machine guns, and he's living in Texas in the middle of nowhere in that shithole, driving around in a fucking armored tank with machine guns. And this motherfucker's going to tell us whether or not we can jack off in November. He's a nut. But Bill, above all that, it's funny to me how you said the Democrats and the feminists, they hate men. I'm sure they do, but it's funny to me how you got Trump in the White House now, and all this other shit, and the Republicans are doing okay, I suppose. And the male rights are losing big league. We're losing big league, as Trump says. And the right wing are failing us, and they're failing us by design because they were never really pro-male to begin with. And if you remember, I told you that. And you see even Fox News now supporting and defending circumcision, trying to say that's positive and Medicare and shit should cover it again, trying to do that to get those rates up. And I talked to you before how they won't even, the last time they did that in most states, they weren't even using it to buy pain medicine. They did that for years. And it's an attack on males. Where they weren't even using your tax dollars to actually fund what they said. But you have that. You have what the hell else I was going to go about? You Jordan Peterson promoting genital mutilation. You have that now, and I've talked about that before. But it goes back to These fucking people are not your friend and they don't support you. That's why they're mocking you when you get cancer, and that's why they're mocking you dying, and they're telling you when you can masturbate, and they're supporting and defending genital mutilation, and they care more about their fucking right to have a machine gun than they do your human rights or your children's human rights. But we're losing big league, and we're losing by design. Why? Because it goes back to the temperance era and the neocon, and also the neocons that go back to the temperance era, because the neocons was begun in the early 70s with the project for the New American Century that had Dick Cheney in it, as I've told you about, if I have told you about. And they were trying to bring back really the temperance era, or in England that would be the Victorian era, and bring that back to increase productivity. And that's really your two big choices now. You can either ship out. You can either your two big choices. What is of value? There's not very much of value. If you're not jerking off, what are you making? Napalm? Are you making napalm to drop on children to blow up villages in other countries, little towns? Is that what you're building? Or are you jerking off? Because what are you going to produce? They've destroyed the arts. They've defunded the arts. Entertainment shit. The record companies are whores. All your music is fucking digital bullshit where they sync together different fucking sounds, and a lot of just recycled sounds, recycled lyrics. There's no real reason for any of it. And they're essentially telling you what to think, and they put forth and support the same conservative, politically correct bullshit. And it's all the same as I talked about. And, it's two rings of the same eagle. And it's like, right now it's like playing Whack-A-Mole, and it's just trying to keep up with them to get from one side to the next to compete with them fast enough. And I think that you've already dropped the ball. If you ever had the ball with the Republicans, you've dropped it, because the neocons have now went all the way back to the Republicans again. They've already gone back to the Republicans, because it started out with them for Bush. Started out with Bush, and then George W. Bush, and then it ends up the Democrats with Obama, because everyone didn't want anything to do with the Republicans because of the Iraq War and all this shit they were doing. So now it's all the way back to the Republicans, because the Republicans are doing better, and now they're supporting shit like No Shave November. Now they're telling you to mutilate your children's genitals again, and they're supporting shit like No Shave November. And the Democrats are starting to make a little bit more sense about some stuff. And if the Democrats ever do win, make no mistake about it, they're going to try to jump back over to the Democrats. So it's like Whack-A-Mole. And really, the smartest thing you can do is do what I said before. Try to have more than one political party or two political parties, so you have more room to jump around and kind of do what you're going to do. Because the way they have things worked out now is it's like left foot, right foot. And it's a mechanism in the mind to control what you believe, and it's either or. They're trying to keep it in black and white duality. No, it's not that simple. There's lots of gray area in life, but the gray what isn't gray area is people that hate other people because of their gender, race, or anything else, and they're really mad because a lot of people they're seeing want a post-racial and a post-gender America, and they don't like race baiting and gender baiting and all this infighting and arguing among the fucking races and the gender, because it's stupid. So they're really wanting to punish you for that almost. And they're like, if you don't support that, we'll take more rights from you. So you better get in line. I mean, that's what they're telling people. But whatever I was going to say. But now you're back down to genital mutilation, and let's make fun of male cancer patients, and they're right back to doing the same thing. So yeah, P666.